On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I'm tackling If It'll Make You Happy from the 1999 Super Deluxe. Recorded at Sunset Sound Studios in Hollywood in April of 1982, this song is somewhat notable for including one of Prince's band members at the time, Des Dickerson. Most of these Prince Vault songs were solo recordings, solo efforts where he did everything, like he often would do. But in this particular case, Des Dickerson was believed to have been in the studio around this time, and there's actually notes and proof that he is a participant in this song from a guitars and vocals standpoint. So Des was one of the guitarists in Prince's band at the time. He would leave the band about a year later and be replaced by Wendy Melvoin, but at the time, spring of 1982, Des is still a part of the band. You can hear Des's background vocals actually here in this song, so it's very likely that he was a part of this recording as it was documented he was. And the previous day that this song was recorded, Prince also recorded Vanity Six's 3 + 2 = 6 from their forthcoming debut album. And Des is credited as performing drums on that song. So again, it just makes sense that Des was in Hollywood with Prince at this time, recording music either for Prince, for Vanity Six, or maybe even for himself. So it's very likely that, Des was around for a few days, helped Prince record some songs, maybe did some recording of his own, and this is the outcome of that. It's the outcome of one of Des's visits to Sunset Sound with Prince. As far as the sound of this song, I think it's also somewhat interesting just because Prince didn't do a lot of these vaguely reggae type songs. So that's what the sound of this song comes across to me as vaguely reggae. I mean, he doesn't sing in a reggae manner or in a reggae style, but the music behind it gives off that, that feel. Now, the song itself, from a lyrical standpoint, there's quite a bit of lyrics, but Prince does a lot of repeating of lines in this song. The structure throughout is very similar. There's really no verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus structure that is more typical for a traditional pop song. It's just Prince kind of singing lines about, missing his girlfriend or, his lover at the time, and kind of lamenting the distance that's between them, the physical distance. And this song, you kind of have to take it to mean potentially that Prince has left his girl. Maybe he didn't want to, so under protest, or there was some sort of circumstance that drove them apart, whether it was, work or personal. I didn't mean to leave you, but I had to go. If changing my life would make you happy, tell me and I'll make it so. I want to make you happy, I'll do whatever you say. And if it'll make you happy, girl, I'll come home right away. So Prince again is expressing some regret for having to leave this person in his life, the special person in his life. And as Zach Hoskins says on his blog post for the song at princesongs.org, he calls it a hastily ended relationship, and I think that's pretty fitting. It seems like something that they didn't really have a lot of time. The two of them didn't really have a lot of time to kind of reconcile. It was more of a, hey, I have to go do this thing. I really don't want to, but at the same time I kind of have to. I'm very sorry. I wish it was different, but I have to go. That's generally the feeling I get from this song when I listen to it. we don't really know why the subject, Prince, the protagonist, had to leave. But he says right there at the very beginning of the song, I didn't mean to leave you, but I had to go. So it doesn't make it sound like it was a choice he wanted to make, but it was a choice he had to make. And for whatever reason, that's kind of left open to interpretation. He still somehow wants to make her happy in spite of what he had to do, and that's what this song continues to express, is his regret for having to leave and how he left her in a position where she has to either wonder what he's doing, or maybe even wonder if their relationship is still ongoing. And when he says things like, I want to make you happy, I'll do whatever you say, and if it'll make you happy, I'll come home right away. That's where the song gets a little confusing, because if it was his choice and he had to go, then it should be in theory his choice to return if he wanted to. So if it'll make you happy, I'll come home right away. Well, I don't know. And that's where initially I was thinking that it was possible that this song could have been about a relationship that she ended. So potentially she made him go, made him leave, ended it on her terms. And he's asking her maybe for forgiveness, or asking her if she'll take him back. If it'll make you happy, I'll come back. All you have to do is just say. And in the next grouping of lyrics, he says, I'll give you all my money if that'll make you smile. And if you're lonely, I'll come home, baby. All you gotta do is dial. Again, he's putting it on her. He's putting the onus on the woman here to tell him she'll take him back, or that she misses him, or that she wishes he would return from whatever it is that he had to do. So whether you interpret it as Prince having to just go off and do his thing, wherever that may be, and I can have a theory that I'll put out there in a little bit, or if it's even her ending the relationship for whatever reason she had, he's still leaving it up to her to tell him she's ready to take him back, or that she misses him too much, that he needs to stop whatever it is he's doing that takes him away from her and come on home. All you got to do is dial. He's waiting for her to tell him. And he feels bad. He feels bad for leaving her. I'll give you all my money if that'll make you smile. Like, he's willing to go above and beyond. Like, go give her things that maybe he wasn't willing to give her before leaving. But like anybody who feels like they've done somebody else wrong and they want to make it right, they're willing to bend over backwards for that person. And that's potentially what we're getting here, is he's willing to go above and beyond, give her all his money. Or maybe before that wasn't a consideration, but now he feels really bad about how things ended, misses her greatly, wants her back. So he's potentially willing to do more than he used to. And what amounts to be the chorus, it's not, I guess you can interpret this as a chorus because there's similar lines like this. Like in the first grouping, he says, I want to make you happy, I'll do whatever you say, and if it'll make you happy, I'll come home right away. And then the second time, he kind of repeats similar lines. He says, I really love you, baby, no matter what your friends may say, and if it'll make you happy, girl, I'll come home right away. And that's the part that remains the same, that if it'll make you happy, girl, I'll come home right away. And what he says right before that may change depending on the part of the song. And I think in this, when he says I really love you no matter what your friends may say, again, that is an admission of love. So whether or not he initiated it or she initiated it, he still loves her, and he says it very clearly right here. I really love you no matter what your friends may say. And this could be interpreted, I guess, still both ways as well. So her friends could be dogging him to help her cope with him leaving her, if that's what he had to do. So if you play that out, let's say they're in a relationship, the character has to go away for whatever reason, and he feels bad, but he had to do it, and it's kind of tearing her up. She's very upset by this. Maybe her friends are dogging him a little bit to her to make her feel better about it. Like, oh, he wasn't shit anyway, you know. What kind of an asshole would leave you like this? He's not worth it. Don't worry about it. You'll find somebody else. But if it's the flip, if it's something like she kicked him to the curb, her friends could still be dogging him to support her in her decision to leave him. So that line, again, I think could work either way, no matter how you personally interpret this relationship having ended. You can stay in my house, baby. You can sleep on my bed. And if you want, I'll send you my body and you can sleep on it instead. So that little verse there is maybe the closest you'll get to any kind of sexual overtones or explicitness. It's not, obviously, either of those. But, you know, Prince is taking it to a more physical place here. And by saying, you can sleep on my bed, you know, that can be interpreted again to be closer to him, even though he's not there. Sleeping in his bed while he's not there may comfort her, is what I'm assuming his theory of asking her to do this or suggesting that she do this. If you want, I'll send you my body. You can sleep on it. Again, he's like putting it out there, like, just call me. Just tell me that you want me. Just tell me that you need me. Just tell me that you miss me. I'll be right there. And again, I don't know why he won't just come out and ask her, but I think he really wants it to be her decision. That's the only interpretation that makes sense to me, is that he's really wants it to be her choice. Like, he's making it very clear that he's interested, but he wants it to be her choice. And even if he's the one that left, again, and I'll put this out there now, this song could also be interpreted as kind of a song about being on the road, being on tour, and missing the girlfriend that you left behind back in your hometown. And if it's interpreted that way, it's a nice sentiment of what's Prince going to do. Like, if his girlfriend tells him that she misses him, what, is he going to cancel the tour and come home? That's not very logical and not likely to have actually happened. And we've seen those movies and those TV shows where there's been some sort of forced distance between two lovers, and maybe they were just trying it. Maybe they were having some relationship issues when a decision was made to grow apart from each other, or make a decision that would leave the two of them in different cities, different countries. But in the feel-good versions of these stories, their distance makes them realize how much they miss each other. And they find a way to come back together, whether or not the person who left quits their job and comes back home, or the person who was left behind, jumps on a flight last minute to go see the person who left, with the intention of joining them in whatever new city or country or state that they are living in at the time. And that's usually how, like, these stories, if they're a feel-good romantic comedy or television show, that's how they end. And it's almost like Prince is trying to recreate that in this song with these lyrics. Like, I really want you, baby. I want you to come home. Just tell me it'll make you happy if we come back together. I don't dig to leave you all alone. What's more, I don't really dig making love on the telephone. Again, he's telling her that he didn't really want to do it. I didn't dig to leave you all alone. Like, I didn't want to do this. I had to do this. And he doesn't really want to do a long distance relationship. I don't dig making love on the telephone. Not his style, not his thing. And to him, it's a drag, It's a drag that they're physically apart. Yes, they can call each other every day, every other day. They can even get freaky on the telephone, but it's just not the same. And he doesn't even really want to do it. I really love you, baby, no matter what they say. And if it'll make you happy, girl, I'll come home right away. I didn't mean to leave you, but I had to go. If changing my life would make you happy, tell me and I'll make it so. So again, he's saying, like, this is what I do. And again, if you interpret this as a song about being on tour, if it'll change my life, if changing it would make you happy, tell me and I'll make it so. If Prince is a touring musician, this is going to be a part of his lifestyle moving forward. So to say, if changing my life would make you happy, meaning like stop being a touring musician, come home, get a regular job that keeps me home 12 months every year, just tell me that that'll make you happy and I'll do it. Again, it's an interesting sentiment coming from a character that Prince is singing from, the perspective that he's singing from, but realistically that was not going to happen. This is 1982. Prince has been, a musician, like as a professional musician for 4 or 5 years. Not nearly long enough to say, like, I'm tired of it. I just want a normal life. I want to settle down. Like, he hadn't even made it huge yet. And he had bigger aspirations. So, again, you have to kind of interpret this as being a song from another person's perspective. Maybe Prince occasionally had thoughts of this when he was really missing whomever he was dating at the time, and whomever this might have been written about or in mind. But realistically, I just don't think that this was something that he was willing to do. Like, I don't think he was really willing to quit being a touring musician just so he could stay home and play house with another person. There's been no indication in his life from that point all the way to the end that was something he was actually willing to do, even if he expressed an interest in it occasionally. I want to make you happy. I'll do whatever you say. If it'll make you happy, babe, I'll come home right away. I really love you, baby, no matter what your friends may say. If it'll make you happy, girl, I'll come home right away. So those two, what I called choruses earlier when they were split up, now are being sung together. And a lot of this is just kind of repeated lines at this point. So I guess that's my take on this song. I really think, again, there's some potential validity to the song being about either Prince or some character that he's portraying in the song, being on the road, traveling as a touring musician and expressing his regret for having to leave people behind that he loves, and wishing that maybe things were different when he's lonely. He's feeling vulnerable potentially in this moment when he's writing the song or singing the song. Potentially wishing that he was living a different life, or at least could just come home whenever he wanted. Whenever his girl told him that he missed her, and if it would make her happy to come home, then he would do that. But it's just something that I kind of get the impression this song could be potentially about. And there's songs like Turn the Page by Bob Seger, Faithfully by Journey, songs that were even earlier like Distant Love by Marvin Gaye that kind of speak to the same concepts of being away from their loved ones because of various reasons, oftentimes being because of their jobs as musicians, and how that distance can really affect the two people involved. You have to have a lot of trust in dating somebody who is a touring musician, who is on the road more times than their home, surrounded by people and vices that could lead them astray. And while this song never really quite, it was never released to begin with, but even the version that we ended up getting on the 1999 Super Deluxe, I don't think carries the same emotional weight as some of those songs that I cited. But it could have, with a little more polish, a little more work. I think the potential was there to create another Faithfully or Turn the Page or Distant Love. If It'll Make You Happy is an interesting little reggae-lite song, and Prince's performance is very, very well done here. I like the song quite a bit. I like how it really turns out, and a lot of the lyrics are just more supporting the music and supporting the theme, the overall theme. And you can put yourself in his place or in her place if you've ever been apart from somebody that you've loved and kind of wish that, or wonder, I guess, and maybe in this case, maybe these are lyrics that are not being actually sung to the person but just thought. Wondered if that person missed you the same way that you missed them. And all you're waiting for is some sort of sign that they truly do miss you the same way that you miss them. And that's all that you need to keep going. Doesn't mean you're going to just quit whatever you're doing and come home, but it may be what you need in order to continue on and finish the job. So on that note, I'll wrap this episode up for If It'll Make You Happy. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net. Also on Facebook and Instagram. I used to be on Facebook and Instagram. An old account got hacked. I no longer have access to those accounts. So please, if you were following me on either of those social media platforms before, Facebook and Instagram, please find me again, refollow, relike. I'll post my new links for you guys to look for on my social media and in my website. But ultimately, the new Instagram is Press Rewind Prince Lyrics Pod. And if you look in Facebook and just type in Press Rewind Prince Lyrics Podcast, you should be able to find the new version of it. And I'm also on YouTube and Twitter and Discord, as well as Patreon. So again, thank you all for listening, and until next time, goodbye.